Sameach, Shavuot Sheni, the second day of Shavuot, and that is related for all the diaspora when we are outside Israel. This is a special portion because it's not part of the regular parasha. And the next week we continue with Bar, with Numbers, and so. This portion is going to talk about what we call it the Aser Sheni. The Aser Sheni, this is the second tithing. In this second tithing, specifically is going to speak about to bring things for the people that are in special needs. It's interesting because sometimes we misunderstand about in our means, in our places where we live, especially in our communities, about tithing and giving. The Creator is very clear about this area. Yes, He gives us instructions to give, but the only way that He accepts our givings is when we do it with a happy heart, we willingly, not being forced to do it. Many times we hear this statement like, God is punishing me because I didn't do what I need to do. Or I'm better give because if I don't give, God is going to punish me. Everything is under fear. Many things that we do are based more on fear than what is normal or what is logical. And looks like that we as human beings, we do better when we are put in a situation in which something bad is going to happen to us. Instead, to learn to live accordingly to what the Torah tells us, to every day to do our best. No? Shavuot is a special festival. And it's a festival, it's a festival of a lot of happiness. In Israel, that is now the only place that they really celebrate Shavuot, still today, is a very festival, a very joyful time. People go to the store, they're trying to buy all kinds of greenery or the types of food from the field, no, fruits and vegetables. And they start sharing with each other, and they start dancing in the streets, and they put in their heads, the girls, they put flowers in their heads, and they sing and dance. Looks like that this year has not been that way. Only few groups have trying to do that. And what is happening if we understand about this festival and what it's trying to tell us, the Creator? Because every message from the Creator has principles and has a message for all of us, even today. You know, let me tell you one thing about me. I am a typical city slicker. Yeah. To me, grass means cement, you know, and the park means a lot of cement, and we can play in cement. The roads and this, that's how I grew up, you know. I tell everybody when I was 16 years old, was for the first time I saw a real cow and milking the cow. And for the first time I realized where the milk was coming from. How many of us or our children, they have seen a chicken or a hen, you know, giving eggs? Sometimes many of us, we think that the eggs comes already in these boxes, you know, and you see a beautiful fruit, you know, oh, they say, how beautiful they come in this box, you know, and we don't even have an idea that the fruit comes from the trees. Many of us, how many of us we have seen a apple tree? Very few. In my case, I grew up totally a city sleeker. No. But then in the 60s, that's when we, the young people, Jewish people, we tried to go to Israel to serve. And they had this idea to go to the kibbutzim or to go to the moshavim. No? And we served there at least for 1 month, 2 months, serving in the land. Israel is basically, or used to be, let me put it this way, used to be a farming country. I don't know, but I know very little about farming. I know very little about gardens. I know very little about those things. Then I cannot even talk about, I only can see it. And when I walk through the streets and I see a house with beautiful flowers, and I can admire, but I don't even know, to be honest to you, I don't know even what it took to do that. But the farmers in Israel, they have been doing that from the beginning. When they arrived to Israel, when they got the promised land, the first thing that they were farmers, totally farmers. And farmers in a region, in an area that was not like Egypt. You know, if you compare the land of Egypt with the land of Israel, it's a big, big difference. In Egypt, they didn't need to wait for water. They didn't need to wait for a good weather. They didn't need to wait for anything. Everything was there. The Nile River, the big river, will every year was constant to Egypt. But when they went to the promised land, the land of the milk and honey, totally literal, the land was not super productive. There was a lot of areas with a lot of rocks. If you go to Israel, you're going to see the terrain, how rocky it is. And you know what? One of the most precious things for all humanity, water, is very, very limited. And they learn to depend on the Creator. The farmer has more faith than anybody else on earth. Why? Because totally and completely depend on the rains. And with the time, right now, I don't know if you are aware of this, but Israel is the #1 country, agricultural country in the world. #1, the little bitty Israel. Israel feed almost half of the world. More than United States, more than Canada, with all the barley, with all the wheat, with all the things. You know why? Because they have produced techniques. Not everything is produced in Israel, by the way. Don't misunderstand me. But all the techniques that Israel has produced are being exported. And all other countries, even third world countries, are producing more because what Israel has been able to give it to them. Israel is fulfilling the role that at the beginning in Bereshit, in Genesis, in chapter 12, when the blessing to Abraham Avinu, all who you bless you will be blessed, and all who curse you will be cursed. But all the nations of the world are want to be blessed because of you. And Israel is being a blessing. You know, they are the, you know, today is very popular about this biological food, you know, organic food. But it's so popular. You know who really invented that? Israel. You know, do you know that Israel, because there was very expensive the chemicals to put on the earth, they had a brilliant idea. They had this idea. Every animal on the earth has their own enemy. You know? Then they start finding the enemies of these insects, these bugs, that they were destroying the harvest. And they were able, and now they export bugs. You know, all over the world. It's something so unbelievable. You know, in Israel, there is no water. They invented this system about dropping little drops of water in the root. No, they didn't flood the field, only on the root. And they had the most beautiful thing. Tomatoes, they needed, tomatoes, they need to be pollinized. And they need to be brought with other, the bees are very good. But then they start doing enclosed environment. Then how they did it? You know, they didn't start to throw, they got some special bugs, some bees, they call it the bumblebees. And the bumblebees inside, they start to put it, because they work all year. They are not like the regular bees that they produce honey and then they rest half of the year. No, these bumblebees, because they don't produce honey, they need to work all year. And they were pollinizing their vegetables. Little things like that, that was surprising. Then they had a problem, for example, I'm going to tell you, this is something that very few people know. There was a problem with the rodents, rats, little mouses in the field. And they start putting a spoon of poison, and then the rats, then they will die. But what was the problem with putting poison? That the land will be contaminated with poison too. Then they found it that there is a bird, those ones who have big eyes.
Owls,
like me, big eyes, and they were the greatest hunters of mice. To say, 2 of them can eat 5,000 of these little rodents. Okay, then they maintain the population very low.
wow.
That tells you about how developed and how that little bitty Israel has been a blessing. And Shavuot is the outcome of that blessing. How? We have Pesach, deliverance. Pesach is the festival of deliverance. We were set free. But in the period of 3 months, they needed to learn something. It's about trusting. And there was a period of many things for baby Israel to learn that the Creator was the provider when they were following instructions well. But when they did something different, there were consequences. Not punishment, consequences. And this is a principle that today we need to understand. The Creator doesn't punish you. You punish yourself by doing things that you don't need to do. And you harvest the consequences of your own actions. At the end, you punish yourself. And the Creator taught Israel. And when they arrived to Har Sinai, to the mountain, there was something very special that was going to pass. This festival, Shavuot, the festival of the weeks, the festival of the harvesting, is also called the festival of the Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, receiving of the Torah. When Moshe Rabbeinu came back from the mountain after the second time, because of what happened with it was 40 days and 40 nights, and came back with the tablets. And this is how Israel and we celebrate this festival too, giving of the Torah. And what is the relationship between harvesting and the Torah? you start thinking about when the Torah was given to us, the 10 words, basic principles, written by the finger of God on the rock, was going to give us the way that we needed to live, basic living. And was not about no, was about living. And we were going to learn from these 10 principles a new way of life. And this new way of life was not going to be depending only on the Creator, as many people wanted to make it believe in that way. Totally the contrary. He was giving like a constitution, like a basic decree, in order that we could work and grow up and make our own ways given by the Creator. Not formulas, but giving the way to do what is right before His eyes. Their midrashim, our sages, talk about that also this Shavuot is the wedding between the Creator and Israel, because was a ketubah. And what was the ketubah? The 10 words. The Creator married Israel, and they made a relationship forever. And the faithfulness of the Creator doesn't depend on the faithfulness of Israel. There are many little stories that we can get from this beautiful festival. And you know what is very exciting to me, learning about this festival? This is the only festival that has no extra regulations. Doesn't have anything extra. It's very simple festival. Basically, bring the fruits to your bikurim, your first fruits to the Creator, to the people, share with them, enjoy and rejoice. That is a fact. It's a festival of rejoicing. Nothing else. Not do this, do that, don't do the other, nothing. It's only to rejoice. Why? Because in every other festival, you have special injunctions, special norms. But why in Shavuot there is no any other one? No extras. Because it is a way that the Creator is telling us, when you are with me and you're doing what is right, blessings will come. Showers of blessings will come because I am with you. Today, there is discussions among different groups, different religions, about what is happening right now. This pandemic in the world is part of God's punishment to the people. You know, when I see that, I don't like these words about God punishing the people. You know, when we are going to learn that our misbehavior carry consequences. When we are going to learn that we don't need to blame others for our own actions. When we are going to learn that if we allow evil people to do whatever they want, we are going to suffer the consequences. In Spanish, we have a saying, el que calla, otorga. What I mean is, if you keep yourself silent, you are giving the right to the others. And Mishlei, in Proverbs, in chapter 31, verses 8 and 9, very clear. The Creator is telling us that we are the mouth for those ones who cannot speak for themselves. We are the ones that we need to come out and say, this is right and this is not right. There sometimes, because we have been in such a situation that we prefer to keep ourselves silent than to speak out, that many consequences happens. When you know that there is something wrong and you don't do anything about it, you are part of the problem. You say, but what has to do this with Shavuot? No. When the Creator say is, at the end, you are the first fruit, you are going to bring it to me. The first thing that you do, what is telling? That everything that we do, we need to have an attitude of being grateful to Him and to really give it to Him the credit that all those things that we are able to accomplish is because He is with us. But when we think that everything comes only because we are very smart, or because we are very creative, or because we can be very going through the wrong ways and have shortcuts, we are taking away the Creator. And our first fruit doesn't go to Him, go to somebody else. In this reading of this morning, the portion that we read, at the end say that we need to take care of the foreigner, the orphan, and the widower. These three categories represent a group of people that cannot take care of themselves and they need help. And we need to think about for those ones who are in need, not only on ourselves, but we need to get out of ourselves and go outside. And this is Shavuot. Shavuot is come and bring and share with everybody the things that you have. We become sometimes, and I said in last week, very meticulous about certain rules and regulations. We are almost obsessive with the religious formulas. And we do not take care of the most important thing, our hearts. Because from our heart is everything good or bad that comes from. And many times we do things more for the expectation of others than for what is right in every situation. The Creator in Shavuot is asking to rejoice of that He cares about us and He takes care of us, but also He expects from us our best. Every relationship is two ways. Then when we talk about Shavuot as the wedding between God and Israel, there is a relationship there, a mutual relationship in which both sides are giving and both sides are receiving. Let's think in a simple way, you know? If right now I am going through a difficult time, do I need help with whom I can count on? Somebody can help me. I can ask, I can talk. We are a community. We can serve each other. We can check each other. We can see for each other. No? But also, we need to understand this, that we ourselves as individuals, we are responsible for our own things. For a long time, sometimes we develop this idea, or call it the welfare mentality. Somebody is going to help me. And we need to help the people who are in need, the foreigner, the orphan, and the widower, not to give it one little piece of bread that day, but we need to help them to be on their own. This is what the Creator wanted to do with Israel. No dependency, but to be independent, to live for themselves. There is this Chinese statement, you know, that say, if you give to a man one fish, you give it to them food for one day. But if you teach this man to fish, you give it to eat for the rest of the year. You know, and this is why it's so important that right now we as community, we help each other. We're trying to invest in each other. We're trying to work with each other. This festival of Shavuot, I was reading about, and I'm going to give you certain midrashim of our sages. First of all, what they call it, how you ask yourself why certain communities is the time that you eat only dairy products. No? Dairy products and fruits, because I told you it's a time of harvesting the first fruits that we give it to the Creator. But why milk? It's a very interesting. You know, the word milk in Hebrew is written with 3 letters, Het, Lamed, and Bet, Halab. If you, in Gematria, you add it, the sum is going to give you 40. And what happened with the number 40? How long was Moshe Rabbeinu in the mountain before he received the Torah? 40 days and 40 nights. This is the reason why, you know? And also the land is the land of the milk and honey. We read this morning too. And when I mean honey, the sweetness of the product. And the Creator wants the best. And the Torah is something sweet. You know, there is a ceremony in the Hasidim, in the very ultra-Orthodox group. A child, when becomes 5 years old, some people say 3 years old, but I think it's 5 years old. But maybe I can be wrong. And that is also the first time when we call it a hair cutting. You know, boys until that age, they look like girls. And then they do little curlies and they start cutting. And every time that they cut a curly, they give it a little bit of money, you know? And then they have the first class in the yeshiva, or the little boys, the little boys and girls. And then in the yeshiva they come and they're going to start. Which book do you think they are going to start studying? You know, the Torah starts with Bereshit, then continue Shemot. The third book is Vayikra. The fourth book Bamidbar, and the fifth book is the Barim. You know which book they start? They start with the third book, Vayikra, because it's the book of holiness, it's the book of purity, it's the book of innocence. Only the children are so innocent. And they start with Vayikra, and they say Vayikra. The last letter of the first word Vayikra is an aleph, and it's a little one. No? And they put a little bit of honey on the desk, and they put their finger on the honey. After they first they point the aleph, and then they put their finger on the honey, and they lick their finger. Because the word of God is sweet for the children, and they will never forget about how sweet is the word of God. Then those precious teachings that we have are good for us to let us go and get excited about studying and working. There is another tradition in Shavuot. They call it the Tikkun Leil Torah. That means that you study the Torah all night. But now they have make it, now you don't only study Torah, you study the Talmud, you study other writings, you know, and they spend all night. According to my tradition as Sephardim, they say that we, the Sephardim Jews, invented to drink coffee at night, you know. The Turkish coffee was invented because that reason, you know, they needed to spend all night studying the Torah. But everybody has their own traditions. But those traditions are pointed to us to something good, to study the scriptures and to learn more. And here is something that I always like to emphasize. You know, we call the name Torah to the 5 books. Also, we call Torah to the tablets, the 10 words. And many people get confused. In Judaism, we have the Teriag, that's the 613 laws. But one thing that I have been trying to make emphasis all these years is about the basic Torah, is the 10 Commandments. That's the basic. If you can start understanding these 10 words, your life is going to be blessed completely. You don't need to be extraordinarily fanatic. You cannot be to be religious to the top, but you start applying those principles. And the word Torah, very few people understand this word Torah, because we have been assimilated to this to this milieu, to this environment, in which Torah equal nomos, Torah equal law. And this is a big mistake, because the Torah is not legalism. Torah is not being legalistic. Torah is not to be punctiliar. Torah doesn't mean to be narrow-minded. But a Torah means teachings or principles to follow. And principles and teachings are to be applied according to situations. You do not apply a principle the same way in every time. You apply it according to the situation. And it's not about judging, it's about living. This is the reason that when we call the Torah nomos or law, we are not doing something good, totally the contrary. We are giving a bad name to the Word of God. I repeat, at the beginning I start, this is the second Aser, the Sheni Aser, the second tithing. And the Creator said that the only tithing that He wants is a willing tithing. when we follow the Torah cannot be followed by being forced. The Torah needs to be done by being willing. In chapter 19 of the Shemot or Exodus, what it say the Creator is going to give the Torah, and what they say the people of Israel? We will do and we'll obey. What is the first word that they say? No obey. They say, we will do. Because the Torah is a doing. It's a living. It's an act of your joy, not an act of religious fanaticism. The Torah is not black and white. The Torah is about living. And every situation has their own ways to deal with it. You cannot deal with every situation the same way, because there are circumstances and situations that we do not know. But if we have these principles, we are going to have an open-minded, and we are going to be applying the real love of God in a relationship with each other. I hope that in this festival of Shavuot, the Matan Torah will be a time of rejoicing. And I recommend you that this Shabbat, you eat some kind of fruit or some kind of vegetable, honoring and giving thanks to the Creator for Amen. All the blessings that He has given us. Amen. Thank you so much for this beautiful, special festival, Hag, Shavuot, that is so misunderstood, but at the same time has so many wonderful things that we can learn from it.
Hag Sameach and Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So now we have an opportunity to just talk a little bit about what we heard our rabbi saying. For me, the words that hit the most, although he brings up so much, it's amazing. Every time I hear him, I learn something new. The thing that he said is that the faithfulness of the Creator doesn't depend upon the faithfulness of Israel. And that really hit hard for me, because I always think of that the blessings that are going to come to me, or the things that happen to me that are bad, are always dependent on my behavior. But it's not what he's saying here. He's saying the faithfulness. God is faithful to us no matter what. What happens to us is that we reap the consequences of being disobedient to the things that we said we're going to do. We said that a long time ago. Everything we will do and we will obey. And there's a difference. It's like if I'm driving and I stop at a stop sign. Am I stopping at the stop sign because I'm afraid I'm going to get a ticket? Or am I considerate of the people who may be coming in the other direction, crossing me, that I don't want to hurt anybody? What are the reasons that we do things? Is it out of fear, or is it out of reverence, respect for other people? And that's really about an attitude. And then he spoke about, the festival of Shavuot, which we celebrated yesterday. And Thursday night, we had a wonderful time. I think for me, it was one of the best Shavuots we had. I was so joyful. And I think one of the reasons I was so joyful also is because I'd just been through a period where I was just so sick. And when you feel well again, I felt like I was never going to feel better again. And then when I feel well, and I learned so many things about myself during this time, because I went through a spiritual quarantine where I had to look within. And we don't always see things. It's a process. Our whole life is a process. And the process of Shavuot was we had left Egypt. I just found out that the country of Egypt has the longest river in the world. I used to think, or I heard, it was the Amazon. But then I heard it's the Nile River. The Nile is the longest river in the world. the whole country never had to worry about anything because the water was always there. Everything was provided. But we had left there. We had gone to the mountain and we were going to be entering the promised land. And in the promised land, it was stony, it was desert, and all they could do in order to harvest, in order to plant and plant their seeds and to harvest was to depend on God and on the rains. And sometimes we forget because we start to feel that there's nothing that we can't do on our own, which is true, but it's because of what God does for us. So there's many, many things that we learn from this, and that God doesn't punish us. We harvest the results, the fruit. It's a picture language. I love the pictures that he gives us. Wonderful, wonderful message. Brian, you had your hand up there. Did you want to say something? I can't hear you because you're on mute.
Somebody was talking about the not anymore in the shin side.
Yeah, that's what they say that the Kohanim would do for the Aaronic benediction when the priesthood would give blessings to the people. They would hold up their hands like that. Dr. Spock did that also in
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Live long and prosper.
Long and prosper. That's where they got it from the Torah. So, Miriam, was there something that stood out for you?
Well, like I've always like we're commanded. I'm putting that in, to be joyful. It's almost like through all the ups and downs, as I said yesterday, the other day, God is always there, and about the consequences. Yes, everything. Punishment makes it seem like God is raining down. He's not a God of mercy.
Right.
But again, just to say, sometimes bad things. Remember that rabbi who wrote "Why Bad Things Happen to Good People" or whatever. I don't know exactly what he said, but sometimes there are consequences, not necessarily only from our lives, but the whole planet has been disobedient since Adam and Eve.
Right.
The consequences of the terrible laws that we have, and the consequences of so many things. But God is always there. And even in our own lives, sometimes it's hard to understand, like when we go through a hard period, aside from the obvious consequences of our own choices,
Right.
there are so many things involved, but God is always there, and that's
Faithful. Exactly.
yeah.
It's like when you're watching your own children doing something terrible and you know they're going to have to pay the consequences for it. Your heart you don't give up your children. You never give up on them.
No.
You're going to be faithful to them, but sometimes you have to allow them to suffer the consequences so that they learn. If you're always going and saving them from reaping the consequences of their behavior, they become little monsters, and so, you're right. We go back to the first two children on earth. Cain was jealous of Abel. And instead of, looking at the intentions of his own heart, he got angry and he ended up killing his brother. And the blood cried out from the ground. So, and he had to suffer the consequences of his disobedience. And it's exactly the same. The heart of man hasn't changed from the very beginning.
And yet, I remember when people talk, I guess it's in Catholicism mainly, but original sin, like that's not the same thing. People mix it up. Like we weren't born, we were beautifully and wonderfully and beautifully made, like in Psalm 139. So it's, free will comes with it, the potential to do evil.
Yeah.
So we're not created, God didn't make a not a beautiful thing. The human being, it was created wonderfully. So it's our choices. We have and that's what sometimes it's, to me, that's the main thing. I always get into not arguments, but discussions with my friend about that. And I said, no, we do have free will. It doesn't mean we chose, like maybe she doesn't understand. We didn't choose the Holocaust. but that's the consequences of multiple huge disobedience. God didn't punish us by doing that.
Right. Mauricio, do you have something? I'm sure you do. You always have something wonderful to add.
Yes, it's just that during the message I've heard one thing that made me think, and it's about when the rabbi said that God sent Israel from the wilderness to the promised land. Okay, in where is milk and honey, and also at the same time he refers that in Egypt they didn't have to worry about water, but when they moved to Israel, now the conditions of the terrain is very hard because it's rocky and it's very dry land. Okay, and it made me think a little bit about honestly uh, why God said um I gotta send you to a place where is there is milk and honey, and now he is sending you to a rocky place.
All right.
Okay, so um and yes, was true. There were parts that in Israel that are very productive, um, but it is not true at all that that the whole land is flowing milk and honey. Okay, you have to work very hard to get those fruits, um, and also depend on him because is not like Egypt where they have the Nile River. Uh, so it made me think about this because sometimes how many times I've heard that people tells you some promises from God is like, oh, God will bring you honey and milk, but you are going honestly when you get the place probably then you find a land very dry, no water, very rocky, hard conditions, uh, extreme heat, uh, and that happens to our lives also. Okay, because sometimes we believe that the promises of God is like going to a paradise. Okay, but sometimes it's not really. Uh, but on those conditions, this is probably the miracle of everything because even on that conditions, um, God provides you. God brings the honey milk in some way, um, and also made to my life one idea when he refers uh, that uh, that also regarding to he said that in that this festival is one that doesn't have any traditional I would say not custom but it is not like Shavuot, Shavuot is not like other festivals that you need to have a procedure, okay, in order to fulfill. No, it is something that is just stop, rejoicing. And it's interesting that on Shabbat we receive the revelation of God in Mount Sinai. And and in this year is also on Shabbat, the second day. Um in it's like yes, when we receive sometimes revelation from heaven, we feel wow, super wow about the revelation, because there is a lot of joy, a lot of emotions, a lot of things that happens around you. But also to captain the this revelation, is necessary Shabbat to stop, to 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 rest. Okay. And probably God sends this idea about the second day on Shabbat, because sometimes it's very easy to receive a revelation. The hardest part is to maintain the revelation through years or through time. Okay. Uh, how many times, for example, I experience some dream, some revelation, some hidden treasure in the scriptures, and that makes you a lot of joy. But during the time, it's very hard to keep it, okay? Because comes the hard times to your life, comes the worries, comes the angry, comes the disillusions, comes sadness, etc. In on those times, okay, the revelation of God sometimes it's very hard to keep it. Okay. In the point is that on Shabbat give us the time of resting, give us the time to have the time to think about the revelation of God, and also uh, to rejoice in God, but probably not at the moment of receiving the revelation, but to enjoy the revelation, um, uh, because sometimes it's very overwhelming to receive a revelation from God. Uh, but during this time, this is my prayer, honestly, uh, that I should keep the revelation of God through times. When I, for that reason, when I connected to the idea of honey
Milk.
and milk, okay, is because uh, it came to my mind, if I will be an Israelite, probably at that time, I will, okay, thought that when I arrive to this promised land, I will see a lot of cows and a lot of dattils and a lot of, but the surprise is that was not like that. It's like, this is happening also to sometimes to our to Salvadorians. There are many Salvadorians that goes through different difficulties to get United States. They go through deserts, through jungles, through mountains, etc. And then they might think that when they cross the river in Mexico border, now they're gonna have a place where the money is flowing like milk and honey. And the surprise is that all the south border of United States is a desert. So so the American dream is like a nightmare for them. Okay. Uh, but after many years of hard working to keep the ideas uh, of what happening, to focus not on the land, on the process,
Right.
then these American dreams becomes reality for them.
Yeah.
So, and this is the very same idea about our honey and milk land. Okay, so um, so that's why I said it's important to keep the idea through time, because if not, we will get disappointed
But yeah,
spiritual.
it's understanding as we grow older also that it is a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. And
Yeah,
sometimes, yeah, we do keep it, but then we lose it and then it grows each time is better. That's why I think he said, do not covet anything that your neighbor has. Don't covet those, don't be upset about those who look like they were successful. Let me tell you, it didn't happen overnight. They came and they had to work very hard. Like even when you think about milking a cow, they had to get the cow, they have to feed the cow, they have to take care of the cow, they have to make sure that it's going to be healthy, and then they have to milk the cow in order to get everything is hard work. But people sometimes look at what we do when they think we're successful and they say, "Oh, congratulations. Look how blessed you are." They don't know what went on in that life before. I hear that sometimes from my daughter who says, "Wow, mom, that's so great. You're getting to sing like now, for these people, and more people are asking you. Good for you." And she doesn't know when I started 35 years ago, the struggles that I went through, how hard it was for me to learn the songs, to write them all down, to feel, people saying, even swearing at me. Some of these elderly would be so angry and they would pull a chain. She has no idea what I went through all those years to develop the program and to sing, to learn hundreds and hundreds of songs and to go when I wasn't feeling well. And, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a
Like
long,
what Rabbi said that from Pesach, from what did he say? From Pesach, well, Pesach's about deliverance, and then the next 3 months you're like in whatever. It's a period to develop trust, and then Shavuot is a time of joy to celebrate the harvest and God, the reality of God.
yeah,
So that's like our lives.
yeah,
We go through the desert. It's a period of time to really develop your trust.
yeah.
As you say, it's a process.
Yeah. And we forget, because 3 months is a long period of time. Look, I was sick for a month. Here's 3 months of journeying through the desert to the mountain, which is all of a sudden is on fire. They lose their leader. He goes up. They don't know where he is, and he was up there a month and a half, 40 days and 40 nights, and the mountain is shaking. They had no experience of anything like that before. And so it's natural that they would run back to fear because they had lived the last how many years of fear that they lived in Egypt. It was constant. Every single day was a day of anxiety. You woke up in slavery. Now all of a sudden you're fear and you have free and you have no tools to be free. You don't know how to be free. You don't know how to hear your own mind. As a matter of fact, when God was speaking his words, telling them, this is all you're going to need to do. After the second one, they couldn't even hear it anymore. Don't tell me. Tell Moses and he'll tell me. Anxiety and fear is so natural and we see it everywhere. And it's so easy to fall into it because I know when I was sick, I was afraid I was never going to feel well again. That's why now on Shavuot, when I wake up feeling joyful and happy and I can breathe and I'm overwhelmed. It's taken me to a whole new level of trust that I thought I was perfect trust before. I had no idea that I wasn't. At each stage, we just we're learning and growing, and it's going to take an entire lifetime. It doesn't happen overnight. It's shocking when I think that I've been walking now, or God has walked with me since 1989. And what are we now? It's like 30, yeah, almost half of my life. But the first half was filled with fear and anxiety, all kinds of things. And you think you're going to get rid of it immediately. They promise you when you come to God, you're a new creation. All things are new. Well, I got news for you. It's not true. It's a process. And that's what this is so beautiful about this process. And he talked about our hearts. Out of the heart comes the intention. And that's what we have to keep asking God. Search me, O God, know my heart. Because we don't. We don't see those things. Either we're way too hard on ourselves, we think we're the worst person in the world, or we're the best person in the world. We know everything. We have to learn that the whole thing is a process. And knowing that He's not punishing us. He's not punishing us. We're harvesting the fruit. I love that. The whole thing about Shavuot is the harvest and bringing the first fruit of everything we have. That's hard to do. It's hard to learn how to give when all your life you've just wanted to take and receive. Now we have to start by giving. And we're not giving something He hasn't, that we've had to run out and work hard for. He gave us something and we just have to bring it to Him, which is absolutely marvelous to think about. And I think people forget that it's a two-way relationship. God isn't a sugar daddy in the sky who'll give us whatever we want. It's like our kids. Can we give them everything that they ask for? Is it going to do them any good? And I sometimes, out of a sense of guilt, want to give to my children things that I couldn't give them then. But it's not always helpful. I remember when my mom, and when I was going through the whole New Age thing, and my life was getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and I would call my mom, and she would just send me money because she had no time, but she could send money. She was always sending me money, and then one day it stopped, and she said, "No more." That's when I had to take a look at, okay, I'm on my own. I didn't know God was with me. But when we know God is with us and we can turn to Him, and sometimes we even forget that because we're so busy. We're so busy doing, thinking that we're doing for God. We sometimes forget. And then that's when God steps in. He's absolutely marvelous. You cannot explain it until you've experienced it. Just looking at my phone, someone just sent me a text. It's beyond. She's in Israel right now. And it just came through on my screen. It's beyond our understanding. I would love to be in Israel the way it's supposed to be during Shavuot, we will be, when you think about it, we're going to be there to celebrate Sukkot. The final, all of us that are here now, right here, we are going to be one day in Yerushalayim celebrating the presence of God in our lives on Sukkot, the only holiday that's going to be left. And every nation of the world is going to send ambassadors to celebrate. Can you imagine what that's going to be like? Israel will be at the top instead of what they are now, instead of at the bottom. And top doesn't mean is not out of a sense of pride, but we are going to be showing the world that this is the only God. It's absolutely astounding to me. I don't know how to explain that. It looks so beautiful there with the trees. I always look at the picture behind you, Mauricio. It's once when I was watching, you were speaking, and there's a wall on your right side. Yeah, it's high.
Yes.
high up. Are you down in like a little valley there?
Not really. Our houses. I lived in the volcano. In so it's like a ladder, I would say. But they make some terracery work. So they took up some machines to move the excess of land in my house, and so this is a wall, honestly. Then they put some rock, okay?
So you have the wall of Jerusalem there, the Wailing Wall.
Yeah, more or less. And this is how they build the houses.
Okay.
So there is then I have on the other side lower houses,
Oh,
okay, because it's like
Like terrace.
yeah, because I saw a man looking down once on you.
yeah,
So what
yeah,
is that? Yeah.
Terrace, no, like you would have terraces, like
Yeah.
lower
yes, terraces, yes.
terraces.
Yeah. I've seen that in China where they grow rice on different levels.
Yeah, on different levels.
Yeah.
So, but it's because we live the volcano is you cannot build like this. You need to do this and then another
Okay.
another wall and then another house and then so it's more like that.
That's beautiful.
Uh, So, and these houses were built a long time ago in 1975, I guess. So,
Not so long ago.
not so long ago.
And you have fruit trees in your back, no?
Yes, that is a mango.
Wow.
And we have some avocados
Wow.
in my house and cashew. Um, and what else do we
But
have?
with the cashews have a fruit and
Yes, they have a fruit.
yeah, but not the nut, not what we eat as the cashew nut. I've told that that cashew nut is actually poisonous to eat.
Not really, because the nut you can eat. The fruit is good. Honestly, we make a delicious juice, okay?
Okay.
And we mix with another kind of fruits, and it's called salad juice, because it's a mixture of different how do you say fruits,
Yeah.
okay?
Who planted those trees?
When we get this home, the trees already
Were
were
there?
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whoever
So
planted them didn't see the harvest.
no, probably yeah, probably no, but it's interesting that the avocado tree, when we come to our home, the avocado was using the whole space in the yard,
Wow.
because it it was like the tree didn't grow straight. It
Oh.
grows almost like flat. Okay,
Oh.
so we had to cut that tree and from one branch. Then we put something to make him go
It's
straight.
right. Interesting.
And after, I don't know, 14 years, now the tree is no, it's really huge, but I mean now it's giving shadow and fruits.
Okay, fantastic.
The avocados are extremely good.
Uh-oh, you got stuck.
I don't know if you can see the avocados
Yes,
there.
yes, I can see. Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, they are very creamy and
Oh,
and 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 it's completely different from the avocado. Probably you have Canada, which is a class of avocado from Mexico.
Yeah.
And uh, Israel came to El Salvador to get that these trees,
Oh,
and now they are producing our avocados in Israel.
ah, fantastic.
Yeah,
I just watched a video the other day about all the things that Israel has invented. I mean, even the idea that that
yeah,
each insect has its own enemy. It's
yeah,
amazing when you think about it. It's so brilliant. You know,
yeah,
if people want to go against Israel and not use any more of Israel's products, they won't have
yes,
USB. There's so many things they won't have.
yeah. When they said boycott Israel, for example,
Don't use your
wow,
cell phone
they
anymore.
no phones, no computers, no vaccines,
Yeah.
no medicines, no fruits, no. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and
So
it's not because of Israel. It's because God said to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, "You will be a blessing to all the nations."
yes,
Yeah. Are you okay, Brian? Are you all right?
Well, my knees,
Your knees, I know, I know. Well, we'll keep praying for your knees and we'll keep praying that God helps you to not gain any more weight because it's very hard on the knees. You know, if you take off a little bit of the schmaltz, then
Yeah.
you start to feel a lot better.
They didn't tell that to Toby.
They didn't tell that to Toby? No, I
Wait.
guess not. Yeah. Anyway, I want to just say thank you to everybody again for joining our service. More and more, I enjoy the teachings, and we keep growing. And so let's keep praying for each other as a community. Pray for all those around us, and our that we may be influential in our lives and letting people see um, that God's name is great on this earth and that He has wonderful plans for us. If only we will turn and listen. So I wish you all again Hag Sameach,
Chag Sameach.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. God bless you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We love you.
Love
We
you.
love you too.
Bye.